Hello and welcome to the On the Whistle podcast. My name is Ali Howorth, and we are on to our final preview of the Club World Cup. We've looked at Al Ahly, we've looked at Esperance, we've looked at Mamelodi Sundowns. There's just one left, and it is Wydad Casablanca. There's no one better to speak to us than journalist, but I shouldn't be saying journalist, proper fan of Casablanca,
Like,
Mohamed Berrada. How are you doing, bro?
I'm good, Ali. How are you doing?
Good man. First of all, you're gonna be at the game in Philadelphia against Man City, the opening game. Where are you coming from? How are you getting here?
I actually live and work in Ottawa, the capital of Canada. So it's a 7-hour drive from Philadelphia. So I will be driving the day before the game, coming back to my city after the game, then doing the same thing for the second game against Juventus, and then same thing for the third
To
game against the
DC
Line. And hopefully it will keep going for the
again for the knockouts.
yeah,
There we go.
exactly,
I
yeah.
love that. That is impressive. So that's what two back and forth 7 hour trips
Yeah,
to Philadelphia, and then another what maybe like 8 9 hours to DC
nine,
doing the
yeah,
same thing.
nine and a half, yeah.
Bro, and this is why we love football, man. This
I
kind of
know,
commitment.
I
That's
know.
amazing. Mohammed, this is your first time on the podcast, but I've actually spoken to you before. The last time I interviewed you, it was actually previewing the last Club World Cup that Casablanca, Wydad Casablanca were in 2023. That was an amazing Casablanca side. I think that 2022 side. You think of the players that are at this Club World Cup with Al Ahly, like Ashraf Dar, Yahya Atiat Allah, Mutraji, players who are at the core of the Moroccan team. You have Walid Regragui, who obviously wins the CAF Champions League, wins the Botola Pro, almost wins the Throne Cup and makes it a treble, and then goes to Morocco, works his magic, semi-final, greatest World Cup of all time for an African team. But it hasn't been plain sailing since then. We expected then Wydad were gonna, dominate. They're gonna compete with Al Ahly. They're gonna be that second super team in Africa. But it hasn't panned out. What's been going on in Casablanca?
Well, I would say that the first major event that affected Wydad was the loss against Al Ahly in 2023 in the Champions League final. Because we were so close of getting our fourth title and losing it in the last 10 minutes because of individual mistake from both Sambo Junior and the goalkeeper Mote. So that was like, I mean, the first major event I would say that affected us. But I would think the biggest one was the loss against Mamelodi Sundowns in the African Super Cup, because another time we were so close. And right after that, the former president of the club, Said Nassiri, who was like the master of this generation, got imprisoned for his personal business. So the players started leaving after that because they were like very close to him, and we had like a period where we didn't have a proper president. He was just replaced by his vice president who didn't want to be there, so he was just like was there just for the sake of being there. So in that 6 months, we lost like all of the players, all those you just cited right now, who were like the champions of Africa, the ones who could have done something beautiful in the 2023 World Cup. Yeah,
Yeah, it's such a shame because that was, that team had so much potential, could have been
I
something
know, I know.
amazing. And I
Yeah,
I guess we cover a lot of particularly South African football on this podcast. I know we were so excited when Rulani Mokoena signed for Wydad. We thought, can he be the guy to reinvigorate this team? He wants to transform them. We know the amazing football he can play, but it didn't quite work out for Rulani. He ended up being sacked earlier I think in May, kind of towards the end of the season. And for us and for those of us here clubbing Club World Cup, it was also a huge shame because we would have loved to have seen Rulani up against Man City. Obviously, he's the Pep of Africa, the African Guardiola. To see him go up against Pep, I remember seeing those videos that Wydad posted of him, his reaction, the players' reactions when the draw was made, and like it's so frustrating. But why didn't it work for him? What happened and what went wrong?
well, you mentioned when the draw. I remember I was on vacation in Costa Rica, and I was watching it on my phone in the middle of nowhere. And I was so happy for him, because I was the first supporter of Rurali Mukwena when he came. I really believed in his project. I know that he's a good guy. He came with a good project, with a good faith. But I think at some point he had to understand that he had to respect with that style. because Wydad has been playing the same way since it was created. And it won the first Champions League in 1992 this way, the second one, the third one the same way. And you can't just come and try to tell others that things you were doing so far are not good and what I'm bringing you right now is good. You know, I think it would have been smarter from him to start things like step by step and not just try and come and change everything. I know he had like a whole new team, except I think Harkas Mudea, some other players. Everybody was new. He tried to give them his mentality. But as I said, it's not with that. And as a big fan of Mokoena, I was really defending him like for the past first 6, 7 months. But at some point, you just see that things are not working anymore. And when things don't work anymore, you have to chase something. And all the fans like me who were supporting him like gave up because the World Cup was coming soon. We saw that the team like the loss 4-0 against Mas Fez in Casablanca was disastrous for
Yep.
us. Like we that never loses 4-0 at home. Uh, I know he did very good games against the big teams, but he still didn't win. So yeah, at some point when you see that the Club World Cup is coming, that you have to go back to Africa next year, either in the Champions League or in the CAF, you have to make a decision. And I think that all the fans supported the president Hisham Aitmana when he decided to sack him because things needs to be changed, and it happened. And I'm very sad for him because he deserved to play against Guardiola. But we think about our team first.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes a lot of
yeah.
sense, and it's such a shame because, and I almost it feels like it was the wrong time, the wrong marriage in many ways. Because look, Wydad are such a successful club, but you're not like maybe Esperance or some of these other clubs that have a clear attacking identity. Wydad, it's about that defense, it's
Yeah,
about that structure, it's about kind
exactly.
of playing
Yeah,
that kind of football,
uh,
and
yeah.
it makes me
And
sad.
it's also like direct play. It's like we don't make like
Yeah.
80 or 90 passes in one. Like it can happen one game or two in the season, but you know how we won the Champions League in 2023. We won the one in 2017 without a striker with Hossein Amouta as a coach. So yeah, like we that has an identity, and the fans love to see that, and we know that's how we win.
Mm. And I want to ask so it's been a really difficult season. It's been a really bad
Hmm.
season in many ways. But you had a decent ending. Obviously, Mohammed Amin
Hmm.
Ben Hashem comes in, a local guy. Obviously, he was at the club and his dad was at the club, kind of Wydad prop through and through. How do you think that was the kind of sentiment in bringing him in? It was like we need someone who understands Wydad, someone who gets us and kind of brings the Wydad culture to the team.
Well, I will describe Ben Hashim's mentality in one sentence that he said after his first game against Faraba. When he used the young player Ryan Mahtou as in the starting 11, and he did a really great game. And when journalists asked him about his choice and like the fact that Ryan could have been scared of the fans. He told them, this guy grew up in the Curva Nord with the winners. So how do you think he will be scared of them because he grew up with them? So Ben Hashim is someone who really knows the club. And that's something very important. He was a player at the club. I know he went to Canada, then he came back to Morocco. I think he was assistant twice. I don't know if he's one time or twice, but for sure he was assistant of Sven van den Broek in 2023. I know that he was super super close to the players, even closer to them than the main coach Sven van den Broek. And we know that we did a very last 4 games with them in the Champions League against Mamelodi Sundowns and against Al Ahly. We were champions until the last 10 minutes and we lost. But yeah, he's someone who really knows the club, who knows the fan. He's a fan himself. And he has a very, very good history in Morocco. You know what he did this year with Zmamra. He was amazing with them, having this squad and being second of the league for like the major part of the league. So yeah, I think that we needed someone like him who knows how to talk to the players and who know how to motivate them, because in the group maybe we are the third weakest team after Juventus and Man City. I'm not going to say that Lion are better than that because they're not, but yeah, and we need someone who really knows how to motivate the players and how to work with them so that we can like at least get 1 point or two, if not four, against these two big teams.
100%. And like I love that you brought up Zamamra because I remember in the podcast, I think back in January we had Amin on when they were pushing right at the top, and it's kind of unthinkable that a team like
Exactly.
them,
Yeah.
only what 2 years ago in the second
Yeah.
division, are actually competing. And obviously didn't quite keep it up. I think what they came like fifth or sixth or something, but still an amazing
Yeah.
amazing
Because
season.
I don't know why they decided to sack him. I mean, it works best for us, and
Yeah.
but yeah.
Man, football sometimes.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I want to ask you, Mohammed. Obviously,
Mhm.
one of the big questions around with that, as you said, there were so many players leaving the club over those years. That core group of
Yeah.
players that did so well in 2022, 2023. But Wydad have had issues replacing players in large part because of they've had a couple of FIFA transfer bans and things like that. What 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 caused those transfer bans to come about? Was it connected to Nasiri himself or the club, or what kind of was the issue around those?
Actually, the bans were before we lost all of the players. The bans were happened with Walid Regragui in 2022, and he still managed to win the Champions League without transfer window in January. Which was amazing. And we really needed those players. I mean, recruitments at the time. Everybody was hopeless that we're not gonna do anything without transfer window in January. I think it was because a lot of players were not paid by the former president Nasiri, who had like the filed suits against Wydad. So, but I think that Nasiri, before he got his problems, resolved everything, and even Eichmann now, right now, is working on solving all the remaining cases. I don't think it will happen again, but yeah.
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, even
Mhm.
Mokoena himself was saying that he had gone kind of 6 months without pay
Yeah.
and things like that. What like was that an issue as well, even for that, or do you know what happened with
You,
that with
you
Mokoena?
know, you never know the truth. Mokoena says some things. The club said that everything was
Settled.
what was settled exactly. So unless you are from the inside, you don't know what happens. And it's not just proper to Wydad. It's unfortunately like the same thing for all the Moroccan clubs. Like except very few of them, Raja is going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Many other teams are going through the same thing, and it's something that should come really from the above. And a new mentality has to be injected in the Moroccan clubs with really professional structures, with professional presidents that really think about the identity of the club and the institution more than just the daily routine and the daily business. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I
Yeah.
think, and it's always such an interesting juxtaposition because on at the national level,
Hmm.
obviously,
Hmm.
the Moroccan Federation is so
Yeah. I
professional,
know.
kind of on
Yeah.
top of all of this,
Mm.
and then you have these issues. I mean, yeah, we were talking about Rajay. What they've had,
Yeah.
what, three presidents now in the last
Yeah.
couple of years? It's an absolute mess.
Hmm.
I want to talk about the transfers you have been able to make because you've kind of dipped into the transfer market ahead
Hmm.
of the Club World Cup. Yes, we didn't get Cristiano Ronaldo, like we saw some people kind of reporting, but you've got some interesting players. Obviously, I've seen Stefan Azizki over the last few years, in particular at Yanga. Watched him live, terrific talent. Omar Al coming in from the Middle East, a bit of a goal threat, and of course the kind of Moroccan, I don't know if you'd say legend, but Norden Amrabat coming. How do you feel about these signings? Do you think that they're going to start and come straight into the team?
Well, for Amrabat for sure, because Ben Hashim said that he's counting on him and that he's helping him a lot get his messages and his mentality to the player. So I think he will be starting for sure. Aziz Ki, I'm not sure because he didn't get that many minutes against FC, against Porto. So I'm not sure if he will start. I think that the midfield will remain the same with Mubarak Zamarawi. Maybe Lorch will play in the middle with and Mailula as a striker. So we're not sure what Ben Hashim is preparing. But yes, I think I personally I am very happy with the recruits we had in this before the World Cup. We needed two defenders. We got two. We needed someone with a leader in the with the group. We got Amrabat. Aziz Ki was target of Rolani Mokoena since last summer, and Young Africans didn't want to let him go. So now we got him. I think he will be a great addition to the team in the World Cup and in the CAF next year. Um, Personally, I wanted to have another left back or right back. Ben Hashim said that he's happy with what he got, because I think that Botola can play in as a left back too. And we found out today that Bushra is not playing against Man City because he's injured. So we're going
So Botiel will likely play at left back.
likely him. We don't know if Ben Hashim has other plans. There are some rumors that say that Ben Khatib might play there. He was on loan to Tetuan this year. He didn't play that many minutes with the team, so I'm not sure if it's a good idea, to be honest. But yeah, I think that we did the right job. As you said, we didn't get Ronaldo, we didn't get Pedro Rodriguez. That was a crazy rumor as well. But I think that we have a chance, to be honest.
And so tell me,
Hmm.
because I think particularly those of us who cover African football, Wydad have kind of been weirdly the outsiders, obviously, because we've
Yeah,
been seeing Al Ahly, we've been seeing Mamelodi Sundowns, we've been seeing Esperance. Who are the players, if you're going to beat City, if you're going to beat Juve, if you're going to beat Al Ain, who are the players that are going to be the difference? Who are the players who are going to show the magic?
we have two South African players that are amazing. Both Lorch and Mailula. Sometimes when I watch them playing, I'm like, oh my god, these guys are like comparing to the other players in the Botola. So I think that with their mentality, with their skills, I think they will be very very helpful to us. I'm counting also on Amra, but even if like he's 38, I think on 39, maybe he won't be that helpful like in football as such, but as a leader, as someone who can like talk to the other players, motivate them, understands the coach. It's really some important to have someone like him. When we lost all our players last year, we lost Jabran, and Jabran was playing this role. He was the true captain of the team, and Harkas couldn't play this role this year. He was the captain, but he's not very popular. He was not very popular with the referees, neither always getting a yellow card in the first 10 minutes. So we missed someone who could really like talk to the players and show them what Wydad is and what are the fans. And I think Amrabat can do that. I haven't watched the two defenders that we recruited, like the Dutch one and the Brazilian one. So I don't even know their name, to be honest. But from what I heard, they are good. I don't think that they will play both of them, but uh, I'm sure that one of them will play with Harkas in the defense. And if Ben Hashim thinks that they will help us, I'm sure that it will be the case. I am really hoping that Zamarawi does a really good World Cup, because he's a very, very talented player. He came last year after Nasser was in jail, and he didn't have the occasion to express himself as midfield with Mokoena and later with Ben Hashim. We saw that he's very talented players. Sometimes he makes the wrong choice at the end, but I think that Ben Hashim can work on that with him. And for him, it's a really good occasion to show himself to the world and to prove what he really is. And I'm really counting on him. What I said can also be applied to Mubarak as well, because he's super talented and he can prove to the world that he's a really good midfielder.
And talk to me. So then, up front,
Hmm.
who do you expect to see? Is it going to be Mailula? Is it going to be Obeng, Raihi? Like, who? What are we expecting? Or is it that kind of fluid system we don't know? Or what? Because Raihi obviously was the top scorer,
Hmm.
like had a
Yeah,
very good goal scoring, but he tends to come out from the right,
yeah,
right? Like he's not
exactly.
an out and out forward. So with Amrabat coming in, where do you see him fitting in?
Well, that's a really good question, because nobody knows, to be honest. Raheem was really good this season, and at the end of this season, we felt like he was not very himself. You know what I mean? Maybe because he changed from left to the right or from right to the left. We didn't know what was his position at the end. Amrabat for sure will be in the starting 11. If it's Obeng or Maidula, it depends on the side, because there are two completely different profiles. If we want someone to help like physically to push the team, it will be Obeng. But Mailula is super smart, but you can't count on him with crosses because he's short. So
Yeah.
um, I think that Mailula will still be in the 11, either in the center or in the right or left. We don't know. Maybe in the middle. So we really don't know what Ben Hashim is preparing for us. Omar Suma, when he will join, I didn't know this guy before, but when I saw his videos, he's really good. So I think in the second game against Juventus, he will be playing for sure. With Mailula, maybe with Lors. Even for Lors, we don't know if he will be in the middle or in the front. So a lot of questions, and I don't think any way that he can answer them right now. So we're just speculating.
But the good thing about
Yeah.
Mohammed is if the Wadadis can't answer, neither can Pep.
That's good, yeah.
So
And there
that's the
was this
hope.
joke, like every time Pep tries to analyze with that, we bring someone new. So yeah.
I love that. And I guess like my final question is obviously from my perspective, I'm sure for many of us we would have, and for yourself, would have loved to have seen, Rolani playing
Hmm.
his ball against Man City, against Pep. But do you think that actually this system, having a coach who understands the Wydadi kind of idea and philosophy in Ben Hashem, although Wydad coming into this tournament are probably the worst of the four African
Yeah.
clubs in terms of their performances over the last couple of years, but tactically you might actually be the best setup because you're happy to defend. You're not trying to dominate the ball, which plays into the Club World Cup. Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel it's going to go tactically?
Well, you know, if we go back to 2022, a team that had a coach like, I mean, I'm not gonna compare him to Mokoena, but with offensive coach and replaced him with someone more defensive in the World Cup 2022, it was with Morocco with Walid Regragui. So I think the same thing is happening right now. I hope to have the same World Cup as Morocco did,
The same effect.
the same effect exactly. But yeah, I think that's playing. And Ben Hashim was very very honest about that. He said we're not gonna play offensive against Man City. If we do that, like it's a suicide for sure. So the guy knows what he's doing, and I'm afraid that if we had Rolani Mokuena like with his love for Pep Guardiola, and he will probably wanted to impress him, and that would have been like a great idea for us. We saw what happened with Auckland City yesterday against Bayern Munich, so we don't want the same story to happen with us. Yeah, so having Ben Hashim, someone who has really like his foot on earth, and who understands things, and who's very realistic, I think that's the proper way to go play against Man City and Guardiola, and not only them. Even uh, Tudor is doing a great job with Juventus after he replaced Thiago Motta, and the second game is coming super super fast. Imagine if we lose just 1-0 or manage to take 1 point against Man City. The second game will be super important, and having someone that really knows the team and how to manage the tactics in very different ways, not like Mokoena, who had only one way to play. It can be very, very, very effective against Man City, Juventus, and Alain after that.
Definitely. Mohammed, thank you so much. I love the insight. You've made me more excited for Wydad than I was before, because I must be honest, this Wydad was the one team I'm really scared of coming into the Club World Cup from an African perspective. I'm going to ask you before we go, what are your predictions against Man City, and what is your prediction for the group?
Uh, I don't want to say something and then become a joke. But I was just talking to my wife earlier today, and I remember she asked me that question in 2022. She told me, "How do you feel about Morocco?" I told her, "We're gonna make a surprise this year." And she asked me the same question today, and I told her the same answer. So I'm not gonna give numbers or anything, but everything depends on the first game. If we manage to get a point, or at least like lose 1-0, 2-1, I
Yeah,
think we
keep it tight.
we we have chances. We have chances because we were not lucky with the draw. We were not lucky with playing Man City the first game. If it was a line, maybe starting with
Yeah,
3 points would have been different. But yeah, I see that the spirit within the players right now is really good. We see the videos, we hear them talking to the press. I think that the group is really well, and being in such a good environment right now will help us a lot. Having Ben Hashim as well will help us a lot, and I hope we will do great World Cup.
I mean,
Yeah,
as do I.
yeah. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I
Yeah,
hope, and I'm so excited because as we were saying at the beginning, we've seen the Esperance fans coming in today for this game because I'm recording this at the stadium before their kickoff against Flamengo. I'm expecting Wydad to be even more because I know there's so many Moroccans live in this part of the world in the northeast of the US. So I'm so excited, brother. Good luck,
Thank you so much.
and I'll see you when you're here.
Thank you so much. I'll see you in Philadelphia.